Crum? Here. Councilmember Olson? Here. Councilmember Armstrong? Councilmember Martin? Councilmember McDermott? Here.
Tell them about the okay. Mr. Olson, congratulations on becoming grandpa. You want to tell us about the little?
Looks like me, so he's really good looking. My daughter Janet and Seth had a baby, what is it, Wednesday night? Thursday morning in Noblesville. And Mom and Baby are doing well, and I haven't dropped him yet, so. That happened before, but I can't tell you. Grandma's still there, she's having a good time. She likes to do diapers, and I came up to see you guys, so. But yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
The other thing is, I really haven't talked about this before, but with the 17 tornadoes that happened in the state this past week, in the past, mayors have always kind of had an unwritten rule of if a community gets hit hard, if they need help, something specific, police, extra fire, trucks to move stuff or whatever, that offer goes out to those communities that hit hard, normally looking probably more closely than where like Sullivan is right now. Just so everybody knows, we made ourselves available if anybody needs anything. And I know that talking with Mayor Lamb at Sullivan, that he is really pleased with the resources that people in communities are offering to him. And right now, he said, we're not asking anybody to come as far away as you are, but he said we've gotten hands reached out to us from Angola to Jeffersonville and all in between. So they're very appreciative of that. And hopefully we never have to do that. But if it does happen close by and they need us now, put you all on call. So request approval of the March 20th minutes.
Second.
Move second, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Under unfinished business, ordinance number 1726-2023. An ordinance amending the ordinance fixing compensation of appointed officer, deputies, and other employees and of police and firefighters of the city of Angola, Indiana for the year 2023 police grants, second reading.
Second.
Moving second, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Public hearing regarding the proposed additional appropriation for the park non-reverting capital fund. When open the meeting, I ask if anybody has any remarks they would like to make, please give your name and address for the record, please. So at this time, we'll open the public hearing on the ordinance number 1727-2023. And hearing no one wanting to make comments, we'll close the public hearing. Ordinance 1727-2023, additional appropriation ordinance for the city of Angola, Indiana Park non-reverting capital fund, second reading.
Move to approve.
Second. Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Ordinance 1727-2023, third reading.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Is there any other unfinished business? If not, we'll go into new business. And I'll turn this over to Ryan, because there's a little change on this.
Actually, I think Councilmember Martin's gonna take care of it.
Review and determine if Fenimore Industry is located at 1305 Ward Street is or is not substantial compliance with the statement of benefits for personal property. There's three different resolutions, although the agenda only has one, and I thought we'd do them en masse if the council approves. The first is resolution 2020-789. The second 2020-790, 2021, 801. The third, 2022, 826. I move we find them in substantial compliance in all three resolutions.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Anyone here for that? Yes, sir.
Yeah, here, appreciate your support. We're growing, we're looking for people, and hopefully we'll finish all that up that's on these sheet of paper.
All right, very good. Well, we appreciate you being here. You've been here quite a while, and we know what you're doing, and we're do whatever we can to help get people here. Can't get apartments and stuff built quick.
You said you were gonna come and visit us someday, and you're welcome to do that, see all that equipment sitting in that building.
I will be glad to do that.
We can do that, any one of you guys can do that.
Make a call ahead of time, make sure you're there. I guess you're there about all the time.
Sure.
Okay, well, again, we appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, at this time, Lori Long with Links Creative Alliance has a presentation regarding the logo. Anyway,
Oops. These are cool. And those are old. Oh, I got old. I need, yeah, sorry. Gosh, I did. So sorry. These are mine. So that's new though.
Okay.
You got the right one. No looking ahead.
Come on.
You got the right one. Thank you. Yep, this is a City of Angola round 3.
yeah,
Concepts, are you ready? Thanks for having me back. Great to see you. We're excited to share this work. Jen said I could figure out how to use this. No, it's good for you. Whoops. All right, thanks. I want to kind of level set. What we have today to show you are 5 new identities for the City of Angola for your consideration. Based on some work that we started in August and then kind of came back in February, and you allowed us to come back and talk with 16 different community leaders and one additional individual who couldn't join us that day, which was very cold and very snowy. If you look at the pictures, it was rotten. I think the day had the ice storm. If you go to the next slide, here's what we heard from all those people bundled all together. The attendees and the people who provided commentary to us rallied around your position as a hub for access to natural resources, your lakes and your parks, your potential to grow as a true college town with deeper connections to higher education in this vicinity, and the quality of life for multi-generational families, which is something I think we want to keep top of mind as we move forward. You asked us to prepare a new mark that presents a consolidated image to the businesses, residential community, and the tourist community that comes here and visits on a regular basis. You want to attract, with that identity, commercial and residential development and position Angola as an intentional destination for people to live, work, and play. And you asked us to help you establish a framework to kind of communicate those ideas. We're hopeful that what I'm going to show you tonight will do that. Let's look at concept A. Pretty similar to kind of where your mark is now. It leverages blue because of all the lakes in the area and the blue sky and the whole natural resources. What our team wanted to do is kind of introduce the marks with a value proposition that kind of reinforces what Angola has to offer, why people want to consider it. So, Councilman Olson, do you mind reading that first value proposition on this concept?
Nestled among the lakes of Northeast Indiana, there's a city where the practice of partnership for the greater good sits at its core. In Angola, history reveals a proud tradition of service in the name of our highest ideals, while the soldier's monument with the victory and peace that Columbia represents gleaming in the sunrise is a reminder of our community's greatest hour. The ideals represented at the center of our town inspire continued collaboration for a brighter future.
If you look at the next page, you kind of see how that mark unveils itself in all the different ways that you might choose to use it on a light background, on a dark background. And you kind of see the notion of the column that's on the mound as the central graphic element. One of the things Jen asked us to do, which is kind of what took us a little longer, is to actually show you these ideas in application. If you go to the next slide. Part of using the mark is really understanding how it will apply to clothing, to your vehicle fleet, to other things and how it might partner with your public safety identities. And so what you're going to see on the following pages are some applications of this specific option. Shirts, like uniforms, next. Coffee mugs and signage, next. City vehicles. And next, stationery and business cards. And on its screen, it's the presentation, I think, is a lot better.
Okay.
Concept A, let's look at concept B. Concept B is kind of the introduction of these three concepts that kind of feel the same. That you asked us, you told us you like these three together. So we're showing them to you with the same value proposition. Councilman Crum, would you mind reading this value proposition?
Life is lighter in Angola, where multi-generational families bask in the promise of the city's potential and feel the warmth of the easier way of life. Each sunrise reveals a city at the center of the world-class outdoor recreation and natural beauty of Northeast Indiana. Each night, as the glow of the sunset eclipses the face of the Columbia, who sits atop the Soldiers Monument at the center of the town, we're reminded that the greatness we aspire to in business, in education, in growing our community makes history here in Angola. Make history here.
So what you see in this mark is the representation of Columbia. That's at the top of your column on the mound, in front of a golden disc that kind of represents the sun casting light across the word Angola. One of the things we had a lot of conversation about was which direction is Columbia looking? Is she looking back to history or is she looking forward to the future? You go to the next slide, you see it again, how the mark rolls out in multiple types of environments. Keep going, Jen. Apparel, next. Again, signage and coffee mugs, vehicles, stationary plants. You told us you like this mark. You also told us you like the one with Columbia look into the future. When the designer saw that, what she did is she created a new mark that we want to show you tonight that your steering committee hasn't seen, Concept C, which is a little bit more centered with the sun squarely behind Columbia, looking back towards history and pushing light around that sculpture, right? It's a little more stable, centralized. The focus is still a column and on Angola and what it means to be here. Value proposition is the same as Councilman Crum read. It's really about looking back to history and choosing Angola to make history here. You can kind of scroll through these pretty quick. And concept D is the sculpture looking the other direction with the wreath a little higher. Value proposition here, though, is a little different. Ryan, do you mind reading it for us?
Our rich history is the light that reveals our path forward. We take pride in the families that choose Angola anew with each generation, discovering renewed potential in each new era. As we collaborate for a brighter future across government, education, and business, we do so with the monument of a city rich in resources and purpose, determined to carry a brighter light forward. Angola, forward progress.
Option D. You can scroll through this pretty quick. And I think the last option for you is option B. It's, if you go, it is the option that Kathy liked the last time that we were here. I'm sorry she's not here. Councilman Martin, would you mind reading the value proposition for this one for me?
At our center, the concept of peace reigns over Angola. It's the peace you experience with a rich history of service is built in a city chosen by families, generation after generation. It's a peace you know when your collaboration elevates a city is just familiar conversation away. It's a peace you know when renewing power of natural beauty is right outside your door. Come home to Angola.
A really relevant theme that we heard repeatedly in the community engagement. Those are the 5 options. I brought to show you. If you scroll through real quick, this shows them kind of in application. I don't know if you have any questions, but I'd love to hear if you do. That was a heavy sigh.
Okay, so any questions or thoughts?
Let's talk about next steps. So everything that's here is changeable, right? You haven't made any decisions yet. What we would like you to ask you to do is identify your two most preferred options. And then we'd like to help Jen create a poll for those on the city's Facebook page so that you can invite the public to vote on the best option. And we'll announce the winner of the poll and hopefully prepare some updated identity and guidelines for usage review and implementation. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Got some heartburn there, I can see it.
A lot of heartburn.
Yeah, like new ideas to take a look at, but I think it's really important to have the community involved. As it is right now with our department. The 11th part, we got about 5 or 6 different logos. It'd be nice, just kind of get one and move on from there.
I just think it'd be a good PR thing, get the community involved and opinions out there. And maybe
So, once we potentially do this, where is the evidence that this is going to increase
Economic development,
anything?
yeah. One of the,
Because I don't believe, I mean, if you're wrong, I'm a school teacher. I'm not convinced that businesses come to Angola because they have a cool logo or a bad logo. I don't people come to visit here because they have a cool logo or bad logo. I don't believe people visit and move here because they have a good logo or bad logo. And people I talked to, they kept asking the constant question, why? And the second question, of course, the crucial question is, how much is it gonna cost us?
um,
And I'd like you to
that,
edify.
I think people gravitate to communities that are making an investment in themselves, right? Whether it's their visual identity, their infrastructure, their communications plan, that communication strategy. Because they know, just like we saw earlier in the element on the agenda before me, right? You're making a concerted and intentional investment in that company, right? I think your identity is the same way. I can tell you in the town of Speedway where I live, we redid their identity during COVID. The amount of visibility, the amount of businesses that have moved into that community just since COVID, despite the fact that, Roger Penske bought the Motor Speedway, it's like 400%. And that has turned in the economy in that community. They have a very advanced redevelopment plan for their Main Street, which is coming to fruition and has been realized. We're going to help them with that, second piece.
Tied to the logo. I'm responsible. I have zero problems with services. The question was, how is this going to be used to rebrand the city versus and get more?
Yeah, I
just
think,
don't, pretty's nice.
oh yeah, pretty.
Pretty's nice, but pretty also is expensive. And I need to have some
Yeah, I don't think it
evidence
has,
that.
I don't think it has to be expensive. I think it can be relevant and it can be prudent, like you can spread that out over time. I don't think this is a situation where you're gonna re-logo trucks tomorrow and you're gonna do your whole fleet. We wanna work with city departments to make sure we're being prudent about how we do that. You're getting a new truck, the mark gets updated. If you're not getting a new truck, then maybe it doesn't get updated. I think part of it is to be really shrewd and plan so that you're making prudent investments in your identity, because that has the capacity to become the language that attracts new business, new approach to a relationship with somebody who's been here.
I get to the second part. I'm just not convinced that a picture does that.
Yeah, you're probably really true. I think in most cases, like when we see the identity guidelines that were put in place in the city of Auburn, it has created that on-road to other social services organizations getting involved and investing in the community. I'll pull some case studies for you. I'd be happy to send them to you. You bet. Any other questions I can answer for you? Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we usually put it out there. People don't want the logo at all. Or they want to keep the one we have,
How many choices do you want to advertise?
So
How do you want to decide those?
Sorry, what is your question?
How do you want to whittle it down to two?
That's up to you guys. That's what Lori's asking. For you guys to roll it to two.
Well, you're gonna have an extreme disagreement. I'm thinking A and E and he's thinking E and A, so. We got E. A and E. The other ones with the flag with the reverse colors get a little busy in some of the examples and can be a little difficult to read. I think A and E is the quickest, fastest, and easily recognized. And have the best visual appeal as far as I'm concerned. They're simple, but clean.
Something for simple things. I do like the color. I do like the mix of coffees.
I like D because of the blue. And maybe Columbia is a little bit more centered, more in a more positive spot than everything, the sunlight around her and everything in the others.
Or stay with what we have. Those are the three.
I don't think people are unsure of our snowplows or Angola snowplows. People are concerned about parks, their snowplows regardless of the.
Well, I've told you the story at the dinner party that I was at. I was wearing a city pin and somebody looked at it and asked if it was an oil rig. I said, no, it's not, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to have one there. It makes a lot of sense.
okay. So, how you want to do this? You want to have two, put it on Facebook and other social media and have a vote from the public?
That is the ask to be narrowed down to two. And we'll put it on social media for voting.
Can I say something? Would you mind? Is there any way that we could push this out to the employees and see what the employees have? Because there's quite an investment with the employees and the amount of time that they have been here. And they may have some ideas if some of these are staying with our current logo. And I know by talking to them that there are some strong feelings about it. Now, whether or not you take those in consideration as a council, that's up to you. But I think it would be prudent of you
It's an excellent idea.
to talk with the employees and see what they feel, because some of these employees have given their life, their blood, every part to the city of Angola. And having separate logos for water and sewer and so forth, it's identification for that group. That group is identified by that logo. And by saying that you are going to take one logo, no matter what, and it is going to be on your truck, you're not an individual group any longer. So it may be an idea to talk to the employees and find out exactly what is going on. And just to get their feeling for it.
Did they participate in the initial
They did.
training?
Yes, they did in August. So all employees were able to complete a survey, and then the department heads were invited to a meeting.
Do we have the results of that? Do we know what the conversation was?
Matthew,
Just when we did go over that initially, I guess I didn't realize that we were talking about changing the logo to all departments. I kind of agree with Ken in the fact that we all have our own identity. When people see us on the streets, they're like, hey, park guy, and I've noticed some of the bigger cities like Indianapolis, they use the same colors, but their Parks and Rec system still has a different, more park feel logo to it. So, I guess I should have paid more attention in the earlier stages, but I don't remember any of those logos in our initial department head meeting when we looked at those. So that looks like a whole new group of, so really, I don't know what our input would have done if none of them were included in the 5 that were selected there. So.
anybody else?
Mayor, if I can say something, please. I agree with Dave Martin. I'd like to have the option of being a current logo. But I look around and I kind of wonder sometimes what our current logo is, because we have a lot of them, like Chad's hat, that have City of Angola and then the monument. As simple as that. And then a lot of times departments will put wastewater or street or their department entity, whether it's planning or what it is. I like the fact that Ken's suggestion too, that we give the employees an opportunity because they have a true vested interest because they're going to be carrying that logo.
Especially if they have not seen these particular logos as well.
And having them have a voice in it, I believe is very important, Mayor. And I also want to say that even though each department has their own identities, we all are a team and we all work together. Whether it's the police department down there shutting off a water main break for the water department or whatever, but every department has pride in what they do. And I think, and I'm not trying to say we should separate by having different logos, but I believe that they all have their own identities. And they're proud of that. So thank you.
The other thing to keep in mind is that some of the employees don't access their computer or their internet service or emails every single day, unlike some of us do. So sending it out email wise is not going to work. It'd be better to have some type of meeting or multiple meetings with either Jennifer, however we want to do it, but a meeting versus sending this out over a mass email and expect people to respond.
I'm intrigued about can you tell us about the rollout, updated identity and guidelines. What's going to happen there?
Sure. So normally what happens once you select an identity is we meet with each department and we chat about how their department wants to be identified. And if we need to create unique elements that allow each one of the departments to kind of maintain their own identity, but still feel like they're part of the whole, kind of almost exactly what we heard. That's kind of how it happens. And then that gets put together in a reference, a set of guidelines that provides guidance for execution or deployment. So the identities get saved out in the right file format so that it doesn't matter who's pulling the file, they have access to the right file. So when it gets reproduced, it's reproduced consistently and it's reproduced well. Your column is really tiny in a lot of cases. And so the artwork would need to be slightly modified so that if it's embroidered, it kind of works differently than if it's silk screened or printed. And part of that process, I think, is really identifying the language or the messages that represent these people who have dedicated their lives to serving, your community in terms of that value proposition and how does the identity need to modify to meet their needs. I will say, we're pretty clear that you're tied to your parks and recreation identity and your public service identities. It works that way in every community we work with. Those two identities function in a really different way than just, serving the public and need to kind of probably stay on their own. Always available for consultation in terms of color changes or adaptation, so it feels like it's part of the family. So you do hang together. So when somebody sees a vehicle or somebody walks into Sutton's to get lunch, based on what they're wearing or what vehicle they're driving, they feel like they're part of the community or the, the city that's serving them, taking care of them. Yeah, other questions?
Okay.
I guess I would like to see as horrible as this is, we have to decide. We are the common council of the city of Angola. We represent this government. And I don't have a problem with a Facebook popularity poll, but that would just be additional information tied into what the employees would like to see also. Because I've been involved in organizations that change things almost by themselves, and it just tends to change the culture, and it hurt. It hurt when we were basically ignored, and I don't want to be part of that with this group. So I'd like to have the public, absolutely, they have every right to do that, but I think not everybody's going to have access to that. They're not going to do it. I'm never on the city's Facebook account. I don't know how to do it. You? No. Okay. But I think ultimately, the winner has got to be decided by this board.
Anybody else?
So you want to put them all out there and see who votes on what? Is it?
I'm just saying ultimately, the information is that the city has to be here.
I don't disagree.
I think you put all five of them out there, plus I think you should keep the normal one. I'm never shy about that. But at the same time, if you get 6 options, that's not any options. 6 options is nothing. And that is no answer at all. So I don't have a problem with being limited or narrowed down. But I'm not gonna be part of the narrowing down. You guys can decide on your own now.
Matt, your logo is one of the most unique in the city. Would you object to using a standardized logo with Parks Department underneath it on your vehicle so that they know that's a park department? Or
I mean, that's really a question for the park board, and they haven't been, they were invited to one of the special interest meetings. I don't know if she ended up making it, but we really haven't, they haven't really been involved because once again, at first I didn't realize it was everybody's logo that was changing. I just assumed it was just.
I think part of the project here was to standardize things, wasn't it?
Correct. So exactly what Lori was saying. So it's understanding an overall logo and then customizing it for each
For
department.
each department, you know, which I think is very, Ken, is that kind of what you're thinking, that you have it customized for each department? So
Quite honestly, no.
okay.
I have been pro staying with what we currently have, 110%, especially after talking to the employees that we have.
They don't want to see any change at all.
Let's put it out to the employees because I'm not going to speak for them directly, but from what I understand, they have not wanted to see a change. Because she has been the representation for our city, and she is the representation for our city. And I know that throughout each one of these different concepts, she is still there, but it's just.
Not the focal point.
So I would definitely like to see and hear what not only the community has, but what also our employees have.
Yeah, I think we gotta do both. I think we should do one and not the other. So we'll get that figured out, how to get to that point and go from there.
I like the idea of having a meeting with employees.
Okay. Anything else on that? Okay, at this time we have reports for treasurer.
None for me.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Jennifer?
Mackenzie Bird started today. She's the new community coordinator. So she started off running. And then our sculptures, for around the monument, or the square, we have a bunch of people who have submitted, so a lot of good options out there, but those will be slowly changing. June 3rd, I believe, it's a Saturday, is the installation date. And then I don't know, Mayor, if you want to talk about your mayor's prayers basketball game.
Oh, yeah, week from Thursday, we're gonna get our butts beat again. Mayor's Prayers Group, playing Rise, Easter Seals Rise, and, I haven't done it for 2 or 3 years because of the pandemic, but, they're all excited about, this coming up. They're gonna have the, what do they call them, former cheerleaders that, pray over, what do they call that group?
That's for the past.
Yeah. And plus, I believe some of the Rise people are going to be doing the dance and just a lot of entertainment going on at the MTI Center. Thank you to Trine University for allowing them to use that at no cost. That's a pretty big move for them, and they've done this several times, so they don't hesitate to try to reach out to the community. But it's just a fun time. I know what the end's gonna be. And
Maybe this is the year.
This might be the year you're turning around.
you know, being lame duck, I guess that wouldn't be. Might be the time to do it, but they start razzing me, probably before halftime. As they're running up and down the court and
Talking trash.
talking trash to me, and I'll stay with Walmart or Myers or wherever during the year, and they love coming up and telling me what a bad coach I was and how bad the players were. So they're gonna kick our butts again next time, they say, so.
Time again.
I'm sorry. It is next, or 13th, it's a week from Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah, at, I believe 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, yeah.
So,
You're talking about the sculpture. Is there,
Yes.
because I think it's fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I've had people ask me, first of all, those for sale.
Yes.
And second of all, why doesn't the city think about purchasing some of those and put those other places throughout the city?
Parks.
Or the parks. I think they're great. I really do. I can't figure out how to put one in my front yard, but. But they're very.
Yes, they are for sale.
Don't you, why, don't you, so, well, I think if they're good,
There's particularly one that I think would be great.
I think they're
For the park
fantastic.
this
I
year.
think that's really a wonderful thing. And if we could put them in other places, now we have put them in parks, obviously, we could put them.
You don't want one?
I do want one, but Jerry complained. But putting some in the parks, I think that'd be a great idea. So I don't know if we got any money for that, but I'm sure we could. Not paying man. I bought a flagpole here. But they removed the art. When again?
June 3rd,
Okay,
is
so
the
we have
first
some-
Saturday in June. And we commission them for a year. So at any point, after that year, they can,
Can you find out how much that would cost and see if we?
yeah, each one is different. So
Could you
we-
find out and so
Yeah, we put the price on the little plaques.
I just look at the thing.
They're on there.
I think that'd be something, because that way you have not only extension of the art, but you also say, well, there it is again, I think we should do that.
Really cool seeing people walk around with their family and they'll get up and have
Yes.
a picture taken next to one of them or whatever. Just, see that a lot.
To your point, we are going to try this year to have sponsors for each of the 4 sculptures with the Mayor's Arts and Cultural. that they select. So on the plaque, we would put, the artist description of them, how much they're for sale, who sponsors it. So.
Dr. Hannah, would you have room in your parks if we put those?
Yeah, we might have to hire somebody to clean graffiti, but
You think it'd be graffiti?
I think they would graffiti anything you put in the park, at least from what I've found, so. But I mean, I personally think I think they're cool too. I think putting them somewhere that's highly visible would be a cool idea. And the more visibility they have, the less likely they are to get vandalized as well. So I don't know what the answer is, where that is, but.
I'd like to do that. I think it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think those are really nice things I've found.
Well, we've had, even like our chainsaw carvings that we did eons ago. People still take their pictures next to them all the time, and they just, it's bringing our work into the parks. People think it's cool, and yeah.
One of the best things we've done.
You can buy.
And so, week from Thursday, 6:00, Rotary's been big on putting this together. And a lot of sponsors, turns out to be funny. So if you're bored, come on out. You won't be bored out there. You got anything else, Jennifer?
No, that was all Mary.
All right, Chief?
Yeah, I'll touch a little bit. This last weekend, we had a seminar that the fire department put on. It was held by our union. We had it at Trine University. Friday night, we had a meet and greet. We had 2 instructors that came in from New York City. They also work in the academy out there. So they came in and they basically did a leadership seminar. And then they talked about fire tactics. So we had 140 that registered. We had 119 that actually showed up. I got that number just before I came over here. And we held it at Trine. We had breakfast was provided, lunch was provided, and we had a really good turnout. So it went pretty well. So some good instruction.
And that's something we do every year.
Yeah, actually, this is the 21st year that it's been held. And also we had we had prizes over at the meet and greet. We gave away about 30 items there. And then the following day, Saturday, we gave around 45 items out of stuff that was donated. And then all the proceeds go towards the scholarship. It goes to a high school student. We have a scholarship program to a senior that's going to be graduating. So the union committee will choose a senior and we'll give them a scholarship. So that's what the proceeds get used for.
I'm not sure. You mentioned here what you're doing with the school.
In the schools,
Yeah.
that's work in progress. So what our plan is we've had several meetings with Angola High School currently. And so our plan is to try to implement, it's kind of like the impact program they have right now for police officers but anyway, so we're trying to put a program within the school systems and we're offering it to kids that are they're junior this year, they'll be seniors next year. So if they sign up for the program, we'll basically be we'll be teaching hazmat, firefighter 1, firefighter 2, and then the EMS portion, which is EMR certification. And basically what would happen is, so the kids will go to school the first half of the day. The second half of the day, they will come down to our training academy and we'll have classroom time and hands-on time. And our hope is that when they finish the program, if they can pass all the state tests when they're completed, then they'll be hireable when they get out of school at the age of 18 in the fire service, because they'd have all the certifications that they need. So it's quite an endeavor. We have 10 students that have signed up for the program from Angola High School. We had a meeting up at Fremont. We're trying to open it up countywide because we need at least probably 15 students. We went up and met at Fremont the week before spring break. So I'm sure we'll be hearing about from them soon how many students they might have interested. We had 120 students basically in the auditorium listening to our sales pitch a couple of weeks ago up at Fremont. Since we met with the kids from the Angola High School, we had them out to the fire station. We got pizzas, let them sit around and meet the crews, and we kind of did an open house thing where we took them to the training academy, and then we took them through the fire station, and we just kind of had a meet and greet with the firefighters who were on duty that day. So we're trying to think outside the box, try to get more people interested in the fire service. So we're trying to, try to go through the high schools and see if we can get some people interested. So like I said, we're in the infancy stage. Eric Kaiser's been working hard on it. So hopefully we can get that thing up and running. And so that's kind of our hopes for the future. So.
Great. Anything else? Sue?
Yes, sir.
Chad?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No report. No. Pat?
Just a reminder, our Easter event coming up this Saturday at Commons Park, 11 to 1. And pray for good weather.
Looks good.
Amanda?
April in Indiana.
That's why I said pray.
Amanda, so?
Is that?
Yeah, you lose the eggs in the snowstorm.
No, I don't think.
Thanks, nothing, sir.
Okay. Request approval of the balance of accounts payable vouchers, 62,083 through 62,298 for $621,423.53.
I authorize Ron, move to authorize Ron to sign the checks.
Second.
Moving second, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Is there any other new business? Good. Next common council meeting is Monday, April 17th. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much for being here.
Good night. That was good.